Next question is from Caleb. He says, my parents are transitioning to retirement and looking at estate plans. I'm thinking about directing them to y'all, which is awesome. But I'm wondering, who specifically should I point them to in this scenario? Should we look for a CPA or a CFA or someone who has both? And he's really just wondering, what is the big difference between these and what designations should we be looking for now that we're looking for some type of advisory service?
So I feel like, Brian, there's a couple different questions there, right? The first question Caleb started is, hey, my parents need some estate planning. So I think it's important to mention that and talk about that a little bit, and then we can kind of back and forth on some of the alphabet soup of the designation.
Yeah, you picked up on the same thing I did that Caleb just shared, is that they're transitioning to retirement. So there's probably first, they're trying to figure out, if I land the airplane of retirement, do I have enough runway, meaning do I have enough cash to get me through all of my retirement? And then is it stress tests for all scenarios? And then specifically, he's worried about estate planning. All these things are exactly the reason why I do talk about why you should take the relationship to the next level. It's because you've only got one retirement, whereas your financial advisor's probably dealt with hundreds of retirements, and it's better to know where your blind spots are and get some protection. And if you can hire a CFO for really, not as a percentage of what you've got going on, it's really an affordable thing, because you don't know what mistake you could make. So here's why I love financial advisors that are actually lean into heavy on the financial planning. We can't write estate documents, but we do help clients navigate. Are you at that stage where you need a simple estate plan? Do you need to go more complex, where maybe the titling to is this a payable on death, or is this a revocable trust situation, or is this one where, because it also depends upon where you live. The geography plays into all that. So a good financial planner is going to serve as a quarterback to give you overviews of options so that they can minimize the time, because we all know attorneys are not cheap. I mean, Bo and I, it feels like the last 2 years, we're running our own economic stimulus plan for attorneys in all areas of focus of study. Whether it's intellectual property, whether it's real estate, we are loading up these attorneys. They're not cheap. So if you can hire a good quarterback of a financial planner to highlight your options and opportunities, when you actually go to implement by hiring an estate attorney, first of all, your financial planner probably can help with that, but then also they can help make sure you've done all your homework so that the time with the attorney can be as efficient as possible and minimize that bill as much as possible, too.
Yeah, we love when clients invite us in to be part of that conversation. Brian, I'm thinking about a client that you work with. They met with an estate attorney, and this estate attorney designed a plan that was meant for someone who probably had a $50 million estate with tons of illiquid holdings and private real estate. But that's not what this client had. That wasn't what their situation warranted, and they had been written an estate plan that didn't fit. And so one of the things I think that was beautiful is you were able to sit in that conversation and say, hey, why are we recommending this? Why does this make sense? Why is this the solution? And what they ended up recognizing is, wow, what was recommended was not a great solution for this client. So if you can find a financial advisor who doesn't just look at like one isolated part of your financial life, but can look at the whole picture, it's amazing how you can get all of the different pieces to fit together. And what will most likely happen is you'll have a suite of professionals that work together. You might have an accountant that does the tax preparation, but the accountant and the advisor can work together on the tax planning. You might have an estate attorney who actually writes the estate documents, but the estate attorney and the advisor can work together on the estate plan. You might have an insurance agent that can sell the insurance products, but the financial advisor can talk with. So what you have is this collaboration where you really do have a team in place, helping make sure that you're making the most efficient and effective decisions.
I've got a real world kind of analogy here. We got something going on with the building, Bo, and we have to bring in a structural engineer, but we're also going to have our contractor there, because the contractor can actually knows, hey, how does this get implemented, but also not to make sure we don't over-engineer it. And I think that's what a good financial planner can do with an estate plan, because like the situation you mentioned, this was a seminar estate planner that I don't care what you showed up with. I think everybody was going to get a big folder, so you paid by the weight of how big your estate documents were, and it was way too complex, and it just was not a perfect situation. So I think if you get a good planner that can help you spearhead this. They're the ones keeping everybody honest with the implementation plan, whether it's the CPA, whether it's the estate plan. If they know enough to be able to talk the language, as Bo said, then that also protects you from questioning. Because we've actually dealt with it as financial planners. Like, we have clients that, like, I have a very successful client that their parents were somewhat successful to the point that they created all these trusts, and we had to help them unwind those because the client was extremely successful, but they had these legacy trusts that were just too complicated and really were creating all kind of hardships and troubles with keeping up with it all. So you need to have an understanding of implementation and what it takes from annual compliance, tax prep, and everything else, so that you don't get something overcomplicated, so that when your beneficiaries get this down the road, that they don't cuss you every year because, like, why did we just like you can over-engineer something, you can over-estate something too. So you need to have the nice, comfortable Goldilocks of what is the right level of sophistication that protects my best wishes, protects my beneficiaries, but also doesn't make this thing where it's a hardship in the future. And I think that's a very valuable skill.
Agreed.